Much about British Prime Minister Boris Johnson can be described as confused or weird with a clear conscience. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about the 50-year-old's hairstyle. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson continued his tradition of absurdly comical appearances at the UN General Assembly with a speech on the fight against climate change. With a view to the impending failure of the COP26 climate conference in Glasgow in November, Johnson urged greater efforts in his address at the general debate of the United Nations in New York on Wednesday evening. He said, we have a great power to change things, or to change things for the better, and a great power to save ourselves, he said. Johnson emphasized that climate action would not only help the planet, but also benefit economies. When Kermit the Frog sang, "It's not easy to be green," do you remember? I want you to know he was wrong. He was wrong. It's not just easy, it's lucrative and it's right to be green. Kermit the Frog, oh boy. Johnson said this about the famous frog figure from the Muppet Show. And he added, quite apart from the fact that I think he was unnecessarily rude to Miss Piggy. Yeah, take an example of what you're saying, Johnson. In addition to planting trees, Johnson praised wind energy in particular, in his very own way. In the flooded prairies of Dodgerland between Great Britain and Holland in the North Sea, we created large forests from beautiful wind turbines. In fact, we produce so much offshore wind that I'm considering changing my name to Boreas Johnson in honor of the god of the North Wind. Confused or just silly? What do you think? Well, one doesn't know. Afterwards, the British Prime Minister thanked China's President Xi Jinping for his announcement that he would no longer export coal-fired power plants. There was praise for US President Joe Biden for his promise of billions of additional dollars in climate aid. Johnson also raved about modern technology with which one can absorb CO2 and put it in brownies while he's turning on a coal plant. The Prime Minister also made it clear that the global course in the fight against global warming, with a forecast temperature increase of 2.7 degrees by 2100, is fatal. I hope COP26 turns out to be like a 16th birthday to humanity, where there isn't a lot of misery but a party where we choose to grow up, he said. That's why the candles of a burning world have to be blown out at the climate conference. On the sidelines of the conference, Johnson found time to launch a small verbal attack against his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron, if anyone takes him seriously after that speech. After France's furious reaction to the British Defence Pact with the US and Australia, Johnson urged Macron to get a grip and donnez-moi un break. In a somewhat undiplomatic mix of English and French, the British newspaper Independent calls it franglais. The British Prime Minister said, I just think it's time some of our best friends around the world got to grips with each other and donnez-moi un break. Because that would basically be a big step forward for global security. Also a way of downplaying the controversial plan between Great Britain, Australia and the USA. Something only Boris Johnson can do. And only can do in this way. I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.